I'll do better than that. I'll address that issue along with the issue that Dick just talked about, people living in chronic inflammation. So when we do brain maps, this is a 19-channel full QEEG brain map where all the microphones are recording simultaneously. We are basically recording the amplitude and the charge of our brain cells, okay? How many millivolts of electricity are they able to hold and are they sending? And so inflammation in the brain is going to look like it's red. Okay, you're going to see different colors here in a minute when I tee up a video. And most people, as Dick said, are dealing with chronic inflammation. They might take inflammation pills and calm it down for a few hours, but they don't negate the reason they had it. And so it keeps coming back. And then unfortunately, the more medications you take, the more side effects you can have. So we really need to find things that get to that root cause. So whether the patient's in pain, their brain's going to be all red. Whether the patient has a lot of stress and they just have a hard time thinking, and it's like you're so many nerve endings being bombarded with signals that you can't comprehend it all, and you don't try to, and it's just overwhelming, and then you withdraw and you shut down, or you just say, I have these conditions related to my moods, and you label yourself like that, and it's just the potential in your brain is like brain on fire, and you don't know how to calm it down. So I have been studying these redox molecules in patients for 11 years now. And I've never really thought about what does it do instantly? That's an interesting topic. I did a bunch of studies with RedoxGold, which is the topical gel that deals strictly with the gene contributing to inflammation and oxidation. And so we would put a little dab on the back of the brain and then come back and brain map 15 minutes later and be like, oh my gosh, this was shocking. I've even done a study on over 55 people that have never consumed the molecules before. And we did brain maps and heart rate variability scans. And then we had them consume that product for 90 days at 8 ounces a day and put the gel on their neck. And we found the mean change through everybody was over a 52% change in their neurology over 90 days. That's why they offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. It takes a little bit more time for a lot of people to finally have some sort of breakthrough. Well, when we're talking about just holding it in the mouth for 15 seconds, I don't know why I never thought of doing a brain map live with a shot in the mouth and see what happens. So that's exactly what we've done. We have a couple examples of patients. I'm going to be working on a much larger scale version of this, but I wanted to give a little teaser to everybody. So there'll be a couple patients that you'll see have a lot of red in their brain. Okay, and then also notice that the colors really aren't changing. It's staying pretty stagnant, whatever the pattern is. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to put a dab of gel of the gold on the back of that brainstem, and you're going to see it starts changing. And we love change and adapting. And you're going to, in essence, see all the red dissipate. And then I'm going to give them a shot, and they're going to hold it in their mouth. And then you're going to see it all start to change again, and how fast just holding that in your mouth for 15 seconds, what an impact that makes. I was told by Hunter Dean a few weeks ago, he was on my show or my podcast, and he had mentioned that when it's in your mouth absorbing, 85% of those molecules are gone in 15 seconds. And I've always known that, but I never really knew where they went. I was just assuming they're getting into the bloodstream and going everywhere. And then you drink it, and the ones you swallow get converted into enzymes and hormones and things that your body needs to help digestion. So it's going into the digestive department, and it's going to do different things. So some people forget to hold it in their mouth, and they're just drinking it and wonder why their digestion's getting better, but all the other systems are taking a little bit longer. So in essence, it's more important for holding it in your mouth for those 15 seconds. So with that, this is just a 4-minute video. It's real short, but I think it'll be very impactful for all of you. Hello, I'm Dr. Mark. And I'm about to show you the power of redox gold and redox signaling molecules on an actual live feed of acute EEG output of the brain. So we're going to start with just a little bit of this gold. About a pea size is all it needs. We get right into that brainstem area, top of the neck, and I'm going to do some strokes up into the edge of the skull there and get that right around that brain. And then we're going to see this natural output have a lot of the red and yellow, which is inflammation in the brain, immediately calm down. The body's going to utilize those resources to bring homeostasis back to the brain and be able to maintain that throughout the day. Most people don't realize the power of consuming these molecules, whether topically or internally, how it affects every cell of our body, including our brain, which is most important. So next we're going to go ahead and add a mouthful of ASEA liquid redox signaling molecules. It's important that we hold those molecules in your mouth for 15 seconds. This is where 85% of those molecules will be absorbed into your bloodstream and into your body to go everywhere your body is needing extra help and assistance in getting over that leg of recovery. So this just takes a few minutes for it to have a really strong effect on the body. So enjoy. In just 3 minutes of time, we see how the brain has been juggling that energy. It's all about the potential in the brain, taking from the low areas, giving it to the high, taking it from the highs, giving it to the low, to bring us back to homeostasis. So again, these molecules have made what we do with brain training give us wings to fly so much faster, so much farther, and give us so much more potential than we ever could alone. This is an amazing product, and for those doing neurofeedback, it will absolutely enhance those results. And for those that don't, just using it daily will make a huge difference in preventing that cognitive decline and the other health issues that we have related to the brain. The Good News Doctor. And today we're going to show you the power of RedoxGold. And what we're going to do is see if this RedoxGold can calm down that red, overactive brain at rest. So we're just going to use about a pea size and place it on the neck, right up at the top. I like to rub that right up into the brain. And now we can see that red color slowly start to dissipate and turn back to that normal green homeostasis. But the next thing I want to do after this first minute, we can see a lot of that red's calming right down. We're going to add a mouthful of the liquid redox signaling molecules. Now this is the product that is our flagship product, and it systemically gets into your system everywhere by simply just holding it in your mouth for 15 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and have her take a mouthful. Here you go. And we just hold that in our mouth for 15 seconds, and we're going to see how that brain starts to rapidly adapt once more. And you notice how the red dissipated almost within a few seconds from the time it happened. And then we start to see all of the adapting, changing back and forth and back and forth. And it's just super exciting. Now, if I let it go for 15 minutes, then it would all be green like we're seeing in the post maps. But just in that first minute, you can see how it was so stagnant. And then all of a sudden, all of it started to change just because you're holding it in your mouth. I always wondered, does it even affect the brain holding it in your mouth, or is it just getting into the blood going everywhere else? But clearly we can see some significant things happen pretty quick.
So Mark, just explain for us less aware of this than you are, what you're measuring with your microphones listening, is for brain waves, the energy. Are can we characterize those as like alpha, theta, beta, high beta? Is that
Yes,
what you're measuring?
correct.
So you're measuring hertz.
We're measuring how many hertz cycles per second. And
Okay,
depending on how many there are, that tells us what brainwave it is. But we can also measure the amplitude and the potential of each brainwave. So
Okay.
is it just the volume really low, or is the volume high where it can talk louder?
Right. So what you're postulating here, or I think you're showing, is the movement of the brain away from high frequency states that would be as more associated with the stress response, and more towards the alpha state where, for example, the prefrontal cortex is starting to dominate and we're getting executive control and calm.
Correct.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.